Welcome into Arsenal Report, and we're going to kick it off with Hugo Ekitike, the 22-year-old French striker for Eintracht Frankfurt, who has become a very, very hot name for this summer transfer window, not just for the Arsenal. Liverpool seem very interested. PSG interested in potentially bringing his services back to Paris because they have a young revolution going, especially of young grade French players. But having watched Hugo Ekitike in the Europa League tonight against Tottenham, I worry that he doesn't actually make Arsenal better next year. And Arsenal, to me, have moved past this sort of project signing, especially when we're talking about center forwards. So Ricardo Calafiore, to me, was a project signing in a lot of ways. And that was a position where we could afford that. We could throw out 3-star, best-in-the-world caliber players at 4 of the defensive positions and a Ricardo Calafiore type of lineup. But the striker position is not one where we have time to keep experimenting. Even Kai Havertz was a bit of an experiment because no one's really quite sure if he's a center forward. And Hugo Ekitike, although he is certainly a center forward, this is not a finished product by any means. He's very, very raw. But he's got a lot of talent and tons of athleticism. I mean, also his goal-scoring record speaks for itself in this current season. 21 goals, 8 assists in 43 matches. There's no doubt Hugo Ekitike is a top talent who's going to go on to do great things, whether it be in the Bundesliga, whether it be for PSG. Liverpool, by the way, I think that's a great signing for them as they kind of transition past this Mo Salah phase. Like next year, they can keep a lot of the nucleus of the squad together, go out and challenge again. And then in 2 years' time, Hugo Ekitike can become the top goal scorer. But we need a top goal scorer now at Arsenal. And I don't believe, having watched Hugo Ekitike, that he is that guy. He can be that guy. But so many loose touches in the box, not overly physical yet, where I think he'll be able to handle going up against the likes of Van Dijk twice a season, or Ruben Diaz, or Gvardiol, or any of the best center backs in the Premier League, even the likes of a Jared Branthwaite, or, players that are in that lower bracket of team, but still are physically incredibly imposing. So to me, Hugo Ekitike is a little bit more of a luxury signing. Like, for £80 million, that's not a luxury signing, though. And you really need to be committed to him being your star center forward moving forward. But that brings us to yet another incredibly talented but young center forward that Arsenal are linked with, which is Benjamin Sesko, who has a very similar scoring record this year, a year younger than Hugo Ekitike, 19 goals and 6 assists. But my question about Benjamin Sesko is, actually, how does he fit into the way that we play? Sesko is an incredible athletic specimen. I mean, the way that he can contort his body to control the ball. He's got some of the best ball striking in the world, bar none, and we desperately need ball striking. But in possession, playing, in our tight little spaces, trying to break down a mid-block, what is Benjamin Sesko offering in terms of interplay? What is he offering in terms of runs off the ball when, he's not making vertical runs? I'm not saying he can't play that way, but we have not seen him play that way. And again, for a player in the 60 to 70 million pound bracket, this is not a cheap signing for a player who doesn't necessarily come in and hit the ground running. The question is, I don't know if there's somebody out there of the right age profile that does that, other than, obviously, Alexander Isak, who we're going to get to in a second. But to me, Benjamin Sesko, a little cheaper than Hugo Ekitike, has been doing it at this level for a little bit longer. Very similar goal-scoring numbers last year as well for Leipzig. Very, very similar. Very similar ones for Salzburg in the Austrian Bundesliga the year before. So he's done it for a little bit more consistent period of time. He certainly has a technique to the way he strikes the ball that is going to end in goals countless times, unstoppable amount of times. He has unbelievable vertical threat that we need in transition. A lot of the reason why I don't hate the Victor Gyökeres signing. But I do worry about Sesko's close control, his technical skill in those little bits and pockets, and how he would fit into this team long term. Now, there's no doubt that, in theory, Alexander Isak is the dream signing. But can Arsenal actually make this signing happen the more time we move on here? Newcastle up to third place in the Premier League. The Champions League is all but a given for them at this point, unless they completely bottle their last 7 games. So then Alexander Isak, we're talking about an £150 million signing. And he still hasn't signed his new contract in Newcastle. So there's a chance he forces his way out this summer. But should they get Champions League, he seems very happy there. Second leading goal scorer in the Premier League this year. He's gotten through some of these injury fits and is kind of seems to be on the other side of it at this point. And Newcastle, with Champions League money, are going to be able to better their squad. So to me, as much as Alexander Isak is the dream signing, he's not realistically a dream signing. I don't think there's a chance we can get him. Even if we win the Champions League, we get a full purse of 142 million euros for winning the Champions League all throughout all the stages. And even if we offered all of that to Newcastle, I don't think we can get Alexander Isak. And it's too bad because he's the perfect age profile, skill level, and obviously Premier League proven. He's worth any penny that they put a number on him, he'd be worth it. I just don't even think there is a number that gets Isak to Arsenal, which brings us back to the drawing board of what is the signing, because whether or not there's a market opportunity, and Arsenal keep waiting for this market opportunity, this summer there has to be a striker signing. It's a numbers game. Like Trossard, not a striker. Havertz, our only striker. Marino, yes, he's done well at the number 9, but we're not going into the season as Havertz and Marino as our strikers. Even if we do bring a Nico Williams in, there has to be a true number 9 that comes in. So is there a mystery signing that we could go for? Is there a name that hasn't been mentioned? Is it Ollie Watkins, who we talked about in January, for maybe a cheaper deal than we were going to do in January, but somebody who understands that he's not the main man anymore at his club, but is going to a club that's fighting for the Premier League and Champions League week in and week out, who has aspirations of winning both, who can score goals, who can come off the bench, who can do all the things that we need a striker to do, fits our system so perfectly, but is a little bit cheaper and is Premier League proven. Is it Marcus Thuram? Is it Lautaro Martinez? The types of players who have done it in Europe forever, but are a little bit older, 28 years old, 29 years old. I have reservations about Lautaro Martinez. He has so many missed opportunities. We see him week in and week out, especially we've seen him for Argentina, miss some very, very easy chances. Is Jonathan David on a free an option? Is that a player that makes us better? Is he better than Kai Havertz? I don't think he is. How about Dusan Vlahovic? Is he better than Kai Havertz? On any given week, he can be, but another player who has struggled for consistency. I'm not sure he has the right attitude to play under Mikel Arteta. So it begs the question, who is this mystery signing? Who is the name that hasn't been mentioned yet? Who is it out there that we could go get? I like Liam Delap. I don't know that there's going to be an opportunity for us to go sign him, but he has shown he can play in the Premier League. He works tirelessly off the ball, which we demand of our striker. Especially as Saka gets more and more minutes under his legs, we are going to demand more and more out of our striker to press the ball high up the pitch, win it back. Liam Delap is great at that. Delap is an unbelievable goal scorer, great ball striking. To me, he kind of is a little bit of a combination of everything we're looking at. He's not the finished product, but Liam Delap, Nico Williams, as your 2 summer marquee forward signings, Kai Havertz and Delap kind of flipping off. Marino can do a job. Listen, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it no doubt makes Arsenal better, and we will score more goals next year. I don't think Liam Delap is coming to Arsenal, but that's my mystery signing for today. If you like the content, of course, hit that subscribe button. Leave us a like and a comment. Let us know what you want me to talk about next episode here on Arsenal Report.